ended up getting being involved in volunteering for Plastics New Zealand and becoming part of the Environment Committee, and that was through having plastic pellets washing up on a couple of our local beaches after a few storms. So yeah, it's something that myself and others in the Environment Committee and industry-wide, I know, are really passionate about. Just a little mention to everyone in the Environment Committee. I know that we've got a number of members that are here today. We've got Rodney Bennett from Bonson Save Pack, Gavin Fong from Plus Pack, Rachel Barker, who's here, who's part of the Environment Committee, Simon Wilkinson, who we'll be hearing from shortly, Mel Maxwell from Avient, Mark Gallagher from Scion, Rochelle Morrison from Chemiplas, and Ella Measle from Fisher and Paykel Healthcare. So we are the team that make up the Plastics New Zealand Environment Committee. We're always looking for new enthusiastic members to join the committee. So if there's anyone online that might be interested, yeah, please do reach out to either Rachel or Simon. Now, just a bit of housekeeping for today. If anyone's got any questions, there's a great Q&A section that you'll see in the side panel. So if you can just pop those questions up as they come about for each of the presenters, and then we can go through some of those at the end. So I'll just do a little introduction for our speakers today. I know both probably won't need an introduction in the audience, but yeah, we've got Mike Draper. Mike is the business unit manager at Talbot Advanced Technologies. Talbot Advanced Technologies offers plastic injection molding, thermoforming, integrated assembly, designing and tool making services down in Christchurch. So Mike's also a part of the national exec for Plastics New Zealand, and he is the current South Island branch manager. So yeah, actively very involved within industry. Yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time to speak to us all today on something that you have had great experience with. So we're all really looking forward to hearing your story. I think we'll let you take it away, Mike, and then I'll do a little intro to Simon before you speak, Simon. So yeah, thank you very much, Mike.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the introduction, Ali. I've got a few slides. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see me still when I put my slides up, but here we go. That's all showing up now, Ali, I hope. Give me a second. It's just launching.
It's thinking about it. There we go.
It's thinking about it. Great. Working now?
Yes, you just said presentation slide.
Cool, thank you. Better?
Perfect.
Yeah, cool, thank you. So Simon asked me to put together a little presentation on what we've learned. We've been part of the Clean Sweep since 2017, and then we had a few issues, and we'll talk about those. So Simon knows that we've had ECAN, Environment Canterbury, here to audit our site. So he suggested the topic is how Operation Clean Sweep helped when the council came knocking. And basically what I'm going to talk about is that's Simon's audit report on the left-hand side there. I've circled there that we had significant issues to be resolved. So that reassessment date, September 2022, and what caused those issues, and then how did we get to, on the right-hand side, that's actually after ECAN visited, only 2 months later, and then saying, thanks for showing us around yesterday. We're impressed with the efforts you're making to get the plastic, and I think it says, from entering our waterways, keep up the good work. So lots has happened since 2017. You could probably say a lot of water under the bridge, or a lot of logs under the bridge, or getting ramped up onto the bridge these days. But yeah, we've had a lot of changes, and the main audit findings were that we did have granules escaping the factory. Potentially, most of those came from, we have our 25 kg bags, so 20 empty bags going out into our 4.5 meter skip, and just the way the guys were carrying those, I think even if there's just 1 or 2 beads that were sort of falling out per bag, 25 bags or 20 bags, that's 20 or 40 noodles, beads, granules, whatever you want to call it. And then that can be a lot that's entering outside. And then, like everyone that has had clean sweep, we had something to stop the granules actually entering into the stormwater. For us, like many businesses, the off-the-shelf products didn't really fit our drains, and so we'd created something and changed it a few times. And then on the right-hand side, that is a laundry hamper, 2 laundry hampers together with some mud cloth in between, and that was our the person in charge, our warehouse manager, that was his idea of what was going to keep the beads out. So we were trying to do the right thing. Unfortunately, that hadn't been checked in 3 or 4 months. It turned out as people got busy, we'd sort of dropped the ball there. So so straight after that audit, I don't think Simon had even sent us our audit report. I think we'd finished everything within the next 2 or 3 days. I think it was all the actions were completed before the audit report came through. So we pumped out our sump, commercially swept our yard for immediate fix. We had a team brief like that week and told the staff what happened and asked them to help for buy-in. It's interesting, all the staff are interested in grinding up our rejects, sprues, etc., to save the environment and put it back into parts, but we didn't realise, because it can go without notice, all those granules that were potentially going into the sea. So we bought some new eco pods that actually fit our drains, not just trying to use something off the shelf and make it work. We moved our 4.5 meter skip inside the building. It's easier to clean up in the building, the mess, and sweep inside the building than outside. We do slight sweeps as needed, and we have a regular audit. So Simon's got these check sheets you can put on a clipboard. For us, we've just got so much internal conformance software and processes. We just use our own compliance software. So I'll just give a bit of an example of that. The person in charge of outside gets a reminder every month, and he must put in his finding of how many beads were found in the drains there. So there's still quite a lot. So it's 7 per month beads. Well, that some might say that's not much, but it's still escaping us. So we've still got to work through that. And basically, that's just an overview about how we're managing to systematically do this. You can see that we're measuring our water and stuff as well. That's for other things. But yeah, there's another example of, hey, we're measuring our water because we want to do the right thing for the environment, and meanwhile we have granules sort of escaping us. So in summary there, I suppose the clean sweep helped us highlight our shortcomings. Again, we thought we were doing the right thing. And I didn't point out at the start, but I didn't tell anyone that Simon was coming. Simon and I just walked around and did an audit. And I did that on purpose. I didn't want someone to quickly go and hide something or update. I wanted a true reflection of where we're at, and so we could make the true improvements. And if it wasn't for that audit, then we probably would have failed our Environment Canterbury ECAN inspections. And look, it's not about the fine. We've spent way more money than what a fine would have been getting these up and running. Yeah, it's not about the money at all. We truly want to do the right thing, like most businesses. And I put there that we're all busy, but the environment's important, and so we need to integrate that into our systems. And so the icing on the cake was that ECAN actually wrote to me just early this month and said, I might read it to you. I'm sure you can read it, but we're saying, thanks for your time earlier in the year showing Environment Canterbury your site. Matt was very impressed with your controls you had on site to mitigate the risk of plastics discharging to the stormwater network. Would you be happy for me to pass on your details to someone from our community engagement team to be considered for a stormwater award? So I think that's quite cool, quite proud of, we were disappointed in ourselves, but also proud of how we've gone about putting in systems, cleaning up our acts, and sort of hopefully we can show like it's really easy, and we're sort of encouraging everyone in Plastics New Zealand and not in Plastics New Zealand to get on and do the clean sweep, see some real value in it. Thanks, Ali. I'll just stop sharing.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike. Hey, any, as far as questions, any key learnings or advice that you would give to a business starting out that hasn't maybe started this journey?
Not
anything you may have done, like any sort of what were some of the biggest challenges, do you think, in
I think for us, the biggest challenge, what we've seen is, like anything in business, you ask someone to do it, and they might do it once, and so it's making sure that it's actually getting done. So what you think you're doing is actually getting done. I think that's the biggest thing. As long as you know you're doing something or you've got data, then you can make improvements around that. So if we're not collecting those granules and seeing that we've still got them going into our stormwater last stop, as it hits the stormwater, then we can't make those improvements or create those actions. So I needed that, and I needed that information. Obviously, if I'd have known about this 1 or 2 or 3 years ago, we would have sort of actioned something a lot sooner.
So that probably feeds into, like anything that you would have done differently in the rollout with that. Is just those ongoing audits of the system. And
yeah, and I think everyone's probably got their own issues and where the granules come from, whether that's are they coming off the trucks as we're unloading raw materials? Are the split bags in the warehouse getting trampled out from the forklift? Are there empty bags, bulk bags, or 25 kg bags going out into skips? There's so many different ways that the granules can get out unless you're doing the checks and really on top of it, and the whole team is on board. I think that's the key thing. Actually, that's a really good point as well. We left it to our warehouse manager because he's in charge of the skip in the warehouse. In reality, it was, everyone's, it's the operators that are putting the bags out, or the material controllers. Everyone has a part to play, so it's certainly a full team effort.
And is there anything in particular that you've done to try and get the wider team on board that you would recommend?
Yeah, look, I talk about it at every team brief. We have a bit of an environment section, 2 or 3 minutes of a 20-minute team brief, and we'll go through and talk about that data. So not only the other environmental initiatives, water use, or their likes.
Okay, fantastic. If there's any other questions for Mike, you can certainly, we can circle back, and you can certainly put those up as we run through if you think of anything else. But yeah, thank you, Mike. That was fantastic. Just good for everyone to hear sort of firsthand a company's as all the social media hipsters say, IRL in real life experience with this program. So that's fantastic. So we'll move on to Simon's presentation now. Now I know that everyone in industry knows Simon, but just to give you a quick run through. Simon Wilkinson runs Wilkinson Environmental, which is an independent sustainability consultancy. Simon does a lot of varied work across a lot of different areas within sustainability. But we've been lucky as an industry to have Simon working with us for, I was trying to work it out, it's 17 years, Simon? Does that sound about right? 17 to 18 years. And Simon, 18 years, right? And Simon's been instrumental in the rollout of Operation Clean Sweep program for New Zealand. And anyone that's been audited or in the program will know Simon well. So yeah, thank you, Simon, for taking the time to present to us today. It's fantastic. Take it away.
Thanks. Yeah, and thanks very much, Mike, for giving us kind of a real account of how it can work. It was interesting as well. Last year, one of our members was fined by ECAN for discharge of plastics into stormwater. So, you know, I think you were fortunate because they will give out an instant fine. I think it's $700 or $800, but they can do it every single day that they find material in your stormwater drain. So, and if it continues, the fines can ramp up. So it was important to get it right. Look, today I just wanted to I've got a whole bunch of photos. I'm a fan of learning by doing. So I kind of wanted to use examples of what I've found from my Clean Sweep audits to show you really kind of what we're after. You know, what does work on site and what doesn't, what we're looking for when we do these audits. You can see that all right, Ali?
That's great. Thank you.
So I'm going to rip through these pretty quick, and you know, anyone's got any questions, just chuck them in the Q&A. So, you know, I've been through 94 plastics handling sites and 11 logistics sites so far, all around the country. We've got 71 certified and 3 certified from the logistics sector. So we have a list of all the sites on our website. To start with, I guess, you know, the easiest thing is to try and contain plastic material within your buildings and try and keep it from being outside. It sounds really easy, but you know, there's some simple things that you can do. You know, if you've got lightweight material, particularly things like swarf, containing it inside by putting maybe a bund or a slot drain across the entrance to your factory. Just to stop it getting outside to the stormwater drains in your yard. Or putting a gate across your factory door. That can also stop things like litter and leaves and dust coming into your factory. So the middle photo is a good example from Wadding Solutions, who commissioned a custom gate. It was actually pretty reasonable cost, and that sort of helps to keep the factory clean, as well as keep their offcuts inside, stop them blowing around. And then just bunds that you can drive forklifts over can help to contain it within the plant. Anytime you've got bulk, so bulk silos are a real high risk area. Often find large amounts of material, as you can see from these photos, 2 different sites. You know, hoses are being uncoupled. There's always residual material, sometimes breakages and hoses. So they're a high risk area. You know, the most successful that I've seen is where if you've got bulk silos, to bund them. So the photo on the right shows there's a really good example of a bund around bulk silos. And what they've done is they've cut a slot into the side wall of the bund so that rainwater can escape, but they've got a filter across that slot. So it's a really simple and effective way of containing plastic. It's a lot easier than a bulk silo of a chemical or a liquid, because you can still filter it and let the rainwater escape. So bunding, you know, where you've got bulk transfer points, having a tray with a floor is really effective. Just whatever works on your site, some way of containing that weak point where you're transferring material. Rubbish bins, as you saw from Mike's looks bloody tidy actually compared to some of the bins I've seen. These, you know, it's an ongoing problem. One of the things I think, you know, there's obviously raw material bags going into those bins, but also what happens is a lot of people will sweep up a spill and just chuck it into the skip outside. Now all of those skips have holes in the bottom of them because they need to let rainwater out. So you're basically just transferring the problem to another area, and the material will come out the bottom of the bin. So whenever you're emptying, whenever you're cleaning up spills, or if you've got a standard spill operating procedure around spill cleanup, make sure that material is being bagged once it's been swept up. Keep your eye on bins. I think I've walked around a lot of sites with a lot of business owners, and when we look in the skip, there's quite often a bit of oh, that shouldn't be in there. What the hell's that doing in there? So I always recommend walk around your site every so often and open up the lid on the skip and have a look at what's going in there. Not just from a potential pollution source, but also, you know, waste that's being hidden from you. Keep an eye on, so the middle photo there, crates coming back from your recycler. Sometimes they can get a little bit sloppy. Apologies to any recyclers on the webinar, but you know, I've seen some some skips coming back full of material, you know, loose material at the bottom of them. If they come to your site in that condition, complain to the recycler or ask them to remove it from site, because they're just transferring the problem to your site instead of theirs. So yeah, watch for dirty recycling bins. This photo on the right just shows how, you know, when you're dealing with bulk bags and some of the residual material, it can just be a hell of a mess. So those are really important areas to make sure you talk to your staff about trying to manage those bags so that the material can't escape from them when they go into the outside bins. Watch out for, obviously, when material is being delivered to your site, trucks coming in, and I've heard this a lot. They're not always the most careful when they're unloading on your site. They're quite happy often to just drive away with a load of material still on the deck of their truck, because they just spread it out along the road. But you know, leaks along roadways are an easy way for people to complain about plastics, and for the council to come visit your site. So yeah, just maybe talk to your storeman about making sure that the truck drivers know to clean up before they leave site, and if they do sweep up, not to sweep it out onto your yard, but to actually to bag it and then bin it. The photo on the right was just a recent example of a quite a nasty spill off a truck here at East Tamaki in Auckland. This was all over the road for probably about 1 kilometre. High visibility and lots of people to complain to council and bring attention to your site. So making sure those loads are secure is really important. It's important to have good cleanup equipment available for your staff. I know it's probably one of the most difficult things is to actually get staff to clean up after themselves. But if you've provided some equipment for them, they've got no excuse really. But if it's hard for them to find the right gear, then they'll use it as an excuse not to clean up after themselves. So, you know, industrial vacuums, you know, even if you've got a lot of ongoing spillages outside, backpack vacuums, for example, can be effective, particularly for getting in some of those sort of tight corners and pipe work. Having spill kits in some of your high pressure areas. So there's a company who's located their cleanup kit with some very clear signage right underneath their bulk silos. And then, you know, ride-on sweepers or vacuum sweepers are also really good to have to clean up spills. Having a spill response procedure is important, and then having the equipment to help your staff to deal with the spill. And for some sites, you're also handling things like solvents and inks, so a spill kit can be really important, spill equipment. There's a nice example there, a really nice example of a nice tidy spill response station. Hopefully somebody who's in this webinar will recognise that that's theirs, because it's probably one of the best spill stations I've seen. And I always recommend having like a shadow board, because whenever I go to a site and we go looking for the spill kit, it's often in a corner of the warehouse. So try and have a shadow board or some markings that try and encourage your staff to return the spill kit to where it came from. And you'll see dustpan and brush as well hanging up, just nice and easy for them to access. Or even just real simple, if you're a small site, you don't need that very, you know, a whole heap of spill equipment, just one simple spill kit and a vacuum in one location, and try and make sure that it's clearly marked so people return it to the same location. So, you know, trying to prevent spills and then have the tools to clean them up is important, but we know that accidents do happen and material can get into those outside stormwater catch pits. So really what we want to see is some protection in those catch pits to stop the material leaving your stormwater catch pit and getting into the council system and into waterways. So we recommend having filters in all your drains on site. Some sites have used these cloth filters. You can buy them. the top left there, you'll see sort of an upside down witch's hat. They're predominantly designed for capturing sediment and maybe a little bit of oil. They do clog up very quickly with the sediment. So if you have them, you're going to need to replace them very often. So because once they clog up with sediment, then they start to overflow. The bottom left photo shows a hole where all the stormwater overflows, all the rainwater overflows once it's clogged up. And that's going to take all your plastic material with it anyway. So I don't recommend these for sites unless you've got them on a really tight maintenance regime. They rip really easily as well, and when people clean them out, they reinstall them and don't necessarily install them properly. So there's gaps, there's gaps down the sides. The one on the right hand side, you can see that material's just going to bypass the filter around the sides of the drain. So some sites use metal filters, so you can get these custom made. They're pretty good. You have to be really careful though to keep them maintained. They block up really quickly, and if you've got them sealed off, which most of them are designed so that they fully seal the catch pit, if they block up with leaves and rubbish, you're going to have a flooding problem because there's no overflow on a lot of those custom made metal filters. So they can be problematic in that regard. Also on the left, you see a photo. That's a metal filter that someone's put in, but they're around the sides of the filter. It's not sealed to the sides of the catch pit, so all the material is just going to go down the sides and get into the stormwater anyway. So it's kind of not an ideal design. So that wouldn't pass our Operation Clean Sweep standard. We'd be looking for something that would be sealed to the side of a catch pit. I've seen this on 1 or 2 sites where somebody's put a filter right over the top of the drain. I don't recommend doing this at all because what material just gathers up on top of the drain and then blows off to your neighbour's site or to another drain. So don't put a filter right on top of the stormwater catchment, and also a bit of a flooding risk. So we've been recommending, a lot of sites around the country have installed these litter traps made by Stormwater 360 here in Auckland. And they've been really successful. They're nice and simple design. You can see that they've got like a sort of a flexible seal around the lip that seals it to the sides of the catch pit. Then it drops into a basket, and that basket actually has an overflow, so that if it does block up with a lot of leaf litter, that it's going to overflow into stormwater rather than cause you a flooding issue. So they're nice and simple to install. Mostly you've got engineers on site, and Stormwater 360 has instructions on their website on how to install them, or you can pay to have them installed. Something to note is that if you're getting these are designed mainly for litter, so big items of litter. If you're putting them onto a plastic site, the mesh on them is quite large. It's got quite large holes, so they kind of become pointless if you don't have a liner bag. So a litter trap has to have a liner bag installed with it. Otherwise, the material is just going to go through those holes, as you can see in that middle example. So the one on the right-hand side has a liner bag and it's collecting material nicely. So it is really important that, and the liner bags do come in with two different filter types. So one is for particles smaller than 1 millimeter, and then there's another one for 200 micron, which is more suited for if you're handling powders or fine material. Important thing to remember is that when you put these on a maintenance schedule or a cleaning schedule and they're being emptied, please empty them into a bag. Don't just tip them into a skip, because like I said, stuff comes out of skips, it's going to cause another problem. So empty them into a bag and then put the bag into the skip. And don't forget about them. Don't put them in and forget about them. You've got to check them regularly to make sure that, as Mike found out, that nobody was checking that filter, and things like the liner can break, particularly if you've got some like a drainage maintenance company who comes with a big sucker truck. They can damage the filter when they're emptying the drain. So put it on a regular check. I recommend sort of monthly as a minimum. So somebody goes around and looks at how, what's in there, what condition it's in, is it sitting properly, and is it still working? And if they need to, they empty the plastic and material out of it. So put that on whatever maintenance scheduling program you have, but we've got a simple checklist. If you want, email me afterwards. I can send you this. It's a real basic checklist, and you can customize it to your own requirements. So look, those are kind of the key areas. Containment is the easiest. Then having some spill cleanup equipment, having a spill procedure, making sure you've got filters and liners in place as a backstop to stop it getting into the stormwater system, and then having a scheduled maintenance program for so that you can show the council when they come knocking that you've actually been doing this stuff. So record it and keep it somewhere. Really quickly, I just wanted to mention as well that in November, under the Operation Clean Sweep banner, we'll be running some community cleanups. So we've done this in the past. We get a whole bunch of people in different areas to get involved in cleaning up local waterways. So watch out for notices coming out from branches around the country, and please join us. And then lastly, just to show, once you are part of Operation Clean Sweep, please put the word out. Feel free to advertise it. I can give you the logo for Operation Clean Sweep, put it on your website like Ali at Farmer Pack has done, and even put a little bit of a blurb in about what Operation Clean Sweep is. I put it on my email signature. So once you're a member of Operation Clean Sweep, feel free to put the little logo on your email signature if you want, if you're really passionate about it. Yeah, so if you're a member of Operation Clean Sweep, you haven't got this on your website, then email me and I can send you some stuff that you can include on your website. If you're not a member of Operation Clean Sweep yet, give me a shout and I'll come and visit you, and we'll see if we can get you on board. That's me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Simon. If there's any questions for Simon, now's your opportunity to put those through. That was a really fantastic run through. And look, as a company that's Operation Clean Sweep certified as well, and for anyone on the webinar that hasn't gone and become certified, it really isn't that difficult. It's there is processes that you sort of will need to put into place, but it just is probably one of the most important things as an industry that we can be doing as a collective. And Simon is now, we've widened that scope to include the transport sector. So if anyone has got a transport partner that they would like to shoulder tap, get in contact with Simon as well, because that's only going to be to the benefit of the whole industry. With that, any last little bits of advice, Simon? For someone a business that maybe hasn't started the program or
start. Look, I think one of the key things is don't be afraid of it. We've designed this program so that it's to give you advice. If you don't know where to start or what to do, don't worry. We'll come out and we can give you the advice on how to reach best practice. This isn't just a kind of like a pass-fail audit process. We'd like to give you advice on what some of the solutions for your site could be. So, reach out. Don't be afraid of me coming on site.
Fantastic.
It looks like my slides froze a little bit today, so hopefully everyone got to see everything.
Yep, I'm sure that we'll share this as well. So, and maybe there's maybe you've got the ability to share those slides, Simon, for anyone. If we can reach out. And look, if any business has got any questions and want to talk to another business, I'm sure Michael or I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have. Simon's certainly the go-to. So yeah, thank you everyone for your time today. It's great to have so many people here and listening, and the environment. Thank you very much to Mike for taking the time to talk to us all, and Simon as well. And yeah, if there's any particular topics that anyone is interested in or would like to hear more about, please reach out to the Environment Committee or to Simon and myself, because we're happy to put those together. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good day. Cheers.
Cheers.